Companies like Southwestern Energy and Priceline, and especially the ones I'm going to tell you about in just a few minutes, are the companies that the world's billionaires are losing sleep over. You'd think Bill Gates sleeps like a baby, but my guess is he does a fair amount of pacing. That's because most of his wealth is in Microsoft stock. And the unavoidable fact of the matter is that something is going to come along that renders Microsoft useless. And it'll undoubtedly make a killing in the process, and that's the type of investment I want a part of. It's unavoidable. Game-changing companies will always emerge out of the competition inherent in global capitalism. There are just too many rewards to be claimed. Some disruptive technology will inevitably erode Microsoft's value over time. The company that does it will make a horde of multimillionaires, and I'd like to be one of them. How about you, Bob?
Well, of course, but do you really see something like this shaking giants like Microsoft?
I do, and if you don't, then the only conclusion I can reasonably draw is that you've buried your head in the sand and are completely ignoring history. Think about the nation's retail landscape 30 years ago. Sears, Kmart, and JCPenney had a lock on the nation's cost-conscious consumers. Then Sam Walton said he was going to put discount stores in small towns, and in less than a generation, Walmart became the most dominant retail force on earth. The combined Walton family fortune today beats the net worth of Warren Buffett several times over.
Any more recent examples?
Sure, think about what Netflix did to Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a suburban fixture, a neighborhood institution and part of the weekly routine of millions of American families. Its prices were high, its overdue fees were exorbitant, and its selection was often spotty. Now, the company didn't care because it didn't need to. It was number one. And then a guy named Reed Hastings noticed something. He noticed you could mail a DVD pretty cheaply, and he built a company that was such a game changer that it destroyed Blockbuster. Blockbuster will be wallowing in bankruptcy court while Netflix investors are deciding where to moor their yachts. And good for them.
Google is clearly another example.
Absolutely, Google is an example. Remember, Yahoo was the dominant search king before Google came along. Now the first thing anybody does when they want to know something is to Google it. Its search engine changed the entire news business, the entire advertising business. It altered the online business model for thousands of retailers. Its free word processing and spreadsheet programs are going to take a bite out of Microsoft's lucrative Office franchise. It's been a truly disruptive technology.
So disruptive technology isn't a bad thing?
No, I'd say it's a pretty good thing. Within a few years, Google's founders became two of the richest people on earth. Google is one of the most transformative technologies since radio, television, air travel, you name it. And then there's Apple. For years, Apple made expensive computers primarily used by graphic artists and teachers. It was lucky to have 5% of the PC market. Then it came up with a nifty mass storage device.
The iPod.
Yep, the iPod's not a special music player, it's a portable hard drive with a set of earphones. And almost overnight, this device transformed popular culture. It remade the music industry, and now TV. Next, movies. Millions of people who would never have bought an Apple product were introduced to the brand and became devoted fans. Adjusted for splits, Apple stock was $7.77 the day the iPod was launched. Today, Apple is at more than $250. Now, if my math is correct, that's at least a 30-fold gain. That means $25,000 turned into more than $750 grand.
I see your point, but how about for investors who didn't get in on Walmart, Apple, Netflix, and Google? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, behold, I bring you good news. If you missed out on Walmart and Netflix, don't despair. There are more Sam Waltons out there. There are more Reed Hastings.
Smart people coming up with the next big thing.
Exactly. Just think, a guy sitting on a park bench with his laptop could be writing software that will change the world again. And I guarantee you an inventor in a workshop somewhere is tinkering with an idea that could become the next iPhone. It's going to happen. It always happens.
Okay, so here's the question I know people want me to ask. Where are you looking for today's game changers? Do you see any standouts right now?
I'm finding opportunities all over the place. Dozens catch my eye. And the very best ones will make it into my fast-track millionaire portfolio so my subscribers can invest right alongside me. There are 4 companies in particular right now that are so critical and potentially lucrative that I want to share them with you immediately.
I'm all ears. Fire away.
Okay, I feel really good about this first company because it gives investors a way to profit while at the same time giving 50,000 people every year a fighting chance against a killer disease. This company has technology that I think will be a huge step forward against America's #2 cause of cancer-related death, and that's colon cancer. Colon cancer is a serious matter. 150,000 cases are diagnosed each year, and 50,000 people die from it. Now, if you take nothing else from this webcast, please remind your friends and loved ones that everyone over the age of 50 should be screened for this disease.
Not a lot of fun.
No, the current test, optical colonoscopy, which inserts a camera to film the inside of the colon, is so unpleasant that only half the people who should be screened actually get the test. Now, though, thanks to this new technology, there's a much more pleasant alternative, a virtual colonoscopy. Instead of using a camera inside the body, a virtual colonoscopy works from the outside. It's fast, it's accurate, and it's safer than an optical colonoscopy. And it's pain-free.
That sounds tons better than the status quo.
Much better. I think it's the inevitable future of diagnosis for this disease. And the leading player in this space is a company called iCAD. The symbol is ICAD on the NASDAQ. Now, iCAD, and the CAD stands for Computer Assisted Diagnostic, makes computer programs that improve the accuracy of CT scans and MRIs. Now, some of these equipment manufacturers are selling their machine with iCAD software already loaded on them. A Blue Cross study found that virtual colonoscopies are 90% accurate, but the study stressed that radiologists need good software to get these good results. And that's exactly what iCAD makes. The company is already a leader in some other diagnostic tests, and it's on the verge of getting FDA approval for its virtual colonoscopy tool. Regulators have told iCAD they don't need any more data, and I think approval is imminent. It could be tomorrow. This product is already being used in Europe, and it should hit the U.S. market soon, and I'm looking at an opportunity that I think is just about to pop.
These little companies tend to bleed cash though, right? That comes out of shareholders' pockets.
That can be true, but it's not a worry with this particular company. iCAD has a strong balance sheet, no debt, and plenty of cash on hand, so it will be able to roll this product out with a bang. Now, President Obama himself recently had a virtual colonoscopy, and if the test is good enough for the commander-in-chief, it should be good enough for millions of other people. I'm adding iCAD to my fast-track millionaire portfolio with the very first issue. The company already pulls in nearly $30 million a year. It posted a loss for 2009, but I think it'll earn $1 a share in the near future, and that should give it a price of over $20. The stock currently trades below $2, so this could easily be another 10-bagger in the making.
I may have to check that one out myself.
The next investment story I want to tell you about is at the bottom of the food chain. The company is centered on a fungus of all things. Only this fungus could be used to help replace crude oil with biofuel.
Boy, that's a big goal. How does that work?
Well, if you ask this fungus nicely, it will spit out special enzymes. And if you put those enzymes into the right conditions, then they can facilitate a number of critical reactions. It turns out that this company has come up with a series of those enzymes that can unlock the sugar in the cell wall of all plant life.
What does that get you?
Any bootlegger will tell you, Bob, that if you have sugar, you can make booze. Plant sugar, or cellulose, can be turned into ethyl alcohol. It's already being used in your gas tank.
Ethanol?
Yeah, instead of being made from the starch in corn, cellulosic ethanol is made from the sugar in plants. But the energy in that sugar is out of reach without these enzymes. So what this company has is really a golden ticket.
Why do you say that?
Well, because of my expertise with the federal government, I can tell you about a piece of legislation Congress passed and the President signed in 2007. This established a federal timetable for the production of biofuels. This plant-based cellulosic ethanol was one of them.